Lark is a 17-year-old girl, and her brother Termite is 9. Winfield, West Virginia, July 26, 1959. Lark. I move his chair into the yard under the tree, and then Noni carries him out. The tree's getting all full of seeds, and the pods hang down. Soon enough, the seeds will fly through the air, and Noni will have hay fever and want all the windows shut to keep the white puffs out. Termite will want to be outside in the chair all the time then, and he'll go on and on at me if I try to keep him indoors so I can do the ironing or clean up the dishes. Sun or rain, he wants to be out, early mornings especially. Okay, you're out, Noni will say, and he starts his sounds, quiet and satisfied, before she even puts him down. She has on her white uniform to go to work at Charlie's, and she holds Termite out from her a ways, not to get her stockings run with his long toenails or her skirt stained with his fingers, because he always has jam on them after breakfast. There's Termite. Noni puts him in the chair with his legs under him, like he always sits. Anybody else's legs would go to sleep all day like that. You keep an eye on him, Lark, Noni tells me. Give him some lemonade when it gets warmer, and put the radio in the kitchen window. That way he can hear it from out here, too. Noni straightens Termite. Get him one of those cleaner bag ribbons from inside. I've got to go. Charlie will have my ass. A car horn blares in the alley. Termite blares too then, trying to sound like the horn. Elise is here, Noni says. Don't forget to wash the dishes and wipe off his hands. She's already walking off across the grass, but Termite is outside, so he doesn't mind her going. Elise waves at me from inside her Ford. She's a little shape in the shine of glare on the window. Then the gravel crunches and they're moving off fast, like they're going somewhere important. Termite, I say to him, and he says it back to me. He always gets the notes right, without saying the words. His sounds are like a one-tone song, and the day is still and flat. It's 7 in the morning. Here and there a little bit of air moves in pieces like a tease, like things are getting full, so slow no one notices. On the kitchen wall we have one of those glass vials with blue water in it, and the water rises if it's going to storm. The water is all the way to the top. It's like a test now to wait, see if the thing works. Or if it's so cheap, it's already broken. Termite, I tell him. I'll fix the radio. Don't worry. He's got to have something to listen to. He moves his fingers the way he does, with his hands up and all his fingers pointing, then curving, each in a separate motion. Fast or careful. He never looks at his fingers, but I always think he hears or knows something through them, like he does it for some reason. Charlie says he's just spastic. That's a spastic motion. Noni says he's fidgety with whatever he has that he can't put to anything. His fingers never stop moving unless we give him something to hold. Then he holds on so tight we have to pry whatever it is away from him. Noni says that's just cussedness. I think when he holds something, his fingers rest. He doesn't always want to keep hearing things. My nightgown is so thin I shouldn't be standing out here, though it's not like it matters. Houses on both sides of the alley have seen about everything of one another from their second-floor windows. Today is Sunday. Nick Tuesday will run his push mower along the berm of the alley to keep the weeds down. He does it after dusk when he gets home from weekend overtime at the factory, and he's had supper and beer, and the grass smells like one sharp green thread sliced open. I bring Termite out. He loves the sound of that mower, and he listens for it, once all the way down, once back. He makes a low murmur like ours strung together, and he has to listen hard over the sounds of other things, electric fans and windows, radio sounds. He sits still, and I give him my sandals to hold. He looks to the side like he does. His hands fit into my shoes. His eyes stay still, and he hears. If I stand behind his chair, I can feel the blade of the mower, too. I feel it roll and turn way down low in me, making a whirl and a cutting. Sundays seem as long as a year. Sundays I don't walk up Kanawha Hill to Main Street to Barker's Secretarial. I'm nearly through second semester, typing and basic skills, but I'm first of class. Miss Barker lets me sit in on steno with the second-year girls. Miss Barker's not young. She's a never-married lady who lives in her dead father's house and took over the school for him when he died of a heart attack 10 years ago. The school's up above the 5 and 10 on the second floor of the long building with a long red sign that says in gold letters, Murphy's 5 and 10 cent store. It's a really old sign, Noni says. It was there when she and my mother were growing up, but the store was both floors then. Now Barker's secretariat has filled the big upstairs room with lines of Formica-top desks, each with a pull-out shelf where we keep our typing books. Look to the right, not to the keyboard, look to the right. We have to be on time because the drills are timed and we turn all our machines on at once. There's a ratchety click and a rumble, like the whole room surges. Then it hums. The typewriters hum one note. It's a note Termite could do, but what would he do with the sound of us typing? I tell Termite, it's not going to rain yet. He'll still mow the alley. There's not going to be stars, though. It's going to be hot and white, and then the white sky will go gray. Then really late, we might have that big storm they talk about. Big storm they talk about, Termite says back to me, in sounds like my words. That's right, I tell him, but you'll have to watch from the window. Don't think you're going to sit out here in the rain with lightning flashing all around you. He doesn't say anything to that. He might be thinking how great it would be. Wind and rain, real hard rain, not like the summer rain we let him sit out in sometimes. He likes motion. He likes things on his skin. He's alive all over that way. Noni says I put thoughts in his head. He might not be thinking anything. Maybe he doesn't have to think, I tell her. Just don't you be thinking a lot of things about him that aren't true, she'll say. But no one can tell what's true about him. Termite was pretty when he was a baby. People would coo over when we walked him in the big carriage. His forehead was real broad and he had blonde curls and those blue eyes that move more than normal, like he's watching something we don't see. He was so small for his age that Noni called him a mite, then Termite, because even then he moved his fingers, feeling the air. I think he's in himself, like a termite's in a wall. I remember when Termite came. Noni's his guardian and his aunt, but I'm his sister. In a way, he's more mine than anyone else's. He'll be mine for longer, is what Noni says. Noni isn't old, but she always says to me about when she'll be gone. She looks so strong, like a block or rectangle, strong in her shoulders and back and her wide hips, even in her legs and their blue veins that she covers up with her stockings. Your mother didn't bring him, is what Noni told me. Someone brought him for her. Not his father. Noni says Termite's father was married to my mother for a year. He was a baby, Noni says. 21 when my mother was nearly 30. And those bastards left him over there in Korea. No one even got his body back, and they had to have the service around a flag that was folded up. Noni says it was wrong and it will never be right. But I don't know how Termite got here because Noni sent me away that week to church camp. When I got back, Termite was here. He was nearly a year old, but he couldn't sit up by himself, and Noni had him a baby bed and clothes and a high chair with cushions and straps and papers that were signed. She never got a birth certificate, so we count the day he came as birthday. I make him a birthday whenever it suits me. Today could be a birthday, I tell him, one with a blue cake, yellow inside, and a lemon taste. You come inside with me while I mix it, and you can hold the radio. You can turn the dials around, okay? Dials around, okay. I can almost answer for him, but I don't, and he doesn't, because he doesn't want to come inside. He puts his hand up to his face, to his forehead, as though he's holding one of those strips of blue plastic Noni calls ribbons. That's what he wants. There's no wind, Termite, no air at all, I tell him, but he blows with his lips, short sighs. So I move his chair back from the alley and go inside and get the ribbon, a strip of blue plastic dry cleaner bag about 4 inches wide and 2 feet long. I wrap it around his hand twice, and he holds it up with his fingers curled, up to his forehead. I'll get dressed and clean up the kitchen, I tell him, but when I make the cake, you're going to have to come inside, okay? Termite, I tell him, I'm going back in. Back in, back in, back in. I hear him as I walk away. Now he'll be silent as a breather, quiet as long as I let him be. I stand at the sink where I can see him. The smell of the heat comes up at my face. The dishes sink into suds, and I watch Termite. He blows the strip of blue out from his face, watches it move. It barely touches him, and he blows it away. He'll do that for 30 minutes, for an hour, till you take it away from him. In my dreams, he does it for days, for years, like he's keeping time, like he's a clock or a watch. Head up, he holds himself, wrist raised, moving blue with his breath. Thank you.